Hello, this is Jer. I'm playing Oxygen Not Included, and I'm the Moonlet cluster on cycle 22. So this cycle is going to be mostly about getting Nature Reserve finally together. Because I had a pip in the last episode finally put down 4 wild plants in this room for me. And that's one of the requirements for a nature reserve. And I'm just getting my dupes to be able to increase that size. I ultimately need to get 32 tiles and a maximum of 120 tiles for it to actually be considered a nature reserve. While they're constructing that, I'm going to operate this incubator, which I did in the last episode. So if you're curious how I did this, you can watch that. But I'm going to fast forward through this bit because I already showed the workings of this in the last episode. So I'm going to let Hugger out. They're done. I've got every single egg incubated that's in that room. I'm going to check for any eggs that are in the stables because they need to be removed. And then we can get back to this. Okay, so the nature reserve, any dupe that goes through it is going to get a +6 morale. They don't go into a nature reserve just because they don't ever have inkling to go there. So you have to force them to go go to a room or some location that they have to go to anyways. So having a latrine in a great hall is a perfect way of doing it. That ladder that you see in there, they need that. Otherwise, if that ladder wasn't there, they'd hop over it, not getting the benefit. So a nature reserve, they don't have to be in it very long. They literally just have to walk in it 1 tile a cycle, and they'll get that +6 morale bonus. So that's now that I've done that, I'm going to remove the ladders. Not really essential, but why keep them there? Other than that, as I mentioned, one of the manual things that I had to do in this cycle was remove eggs. I'd love to have that automated, but I don't have enough aluminum. So I'm going to get that aluminum created and hopefully be able to work on that in a cycle coming up. That's going to end this cycle to the next one. On to cycle 23. So I'm just going to eventually extend the stables, so I'm just starting a doorway there. And I just noticed the nature reserve, not a nature reserve, it's a park with a +3 morale bonus. It's 31 tiles, just shy of the 32 I need. So I'm going to move the park sign over and just dig down here 1, because I may bring that down for dupes to walk through it in other rooms below some point in the future. Who knows? Anyway, that's going to make it a nature reserve. That's the big thing. The other thing I want to do is have automation to haul eggs out of the stables as soon as they're laid. So I can have my best effort to notice eggs. I'm going to miss them. And even when I get my dupes to remove them, they're going to take a certain amount of time. And in that process, those pips are going to be delayed from quickly laying, or they're going to feel crammed and not lay as many eggs in that meantime. So this is going to happen every single episode. I'm going to be in this room, or every single cycle. I'm going to be in this room with Hugger going through the lullaby effect, if there are any eggs at that time to process. So that is good. I've got the lullaby effect, but only one dupe has the ability to build the conveyor rail, so I'm going to temporarily let everyone in that room, and I'll change that afterwards. That's the end of the cycle. All right, on cycle 24, I start off verifying if I have a nature reserve, and I do, so that is a good thing. Going to open some of those doors. No point in having the dupes go open and close them every time they go by. I noticed that the conveyor rail is not being built, and that's because the only one with the skill to build it, the Metatronics skill, is engineer, and they prefer to operate. So I'm going to tell them their preference or priority should be to build things. So I move them off that machine, and then they get to work on building that conveyor rail, which is going to help me remove eggs out of that room as soon as they're laid by the pips. The other thing I'm concerned about is hydrogen is building up all around my base, so continuing to dig up a spot here just for a little bit to go, and I'll eventually have to put in a gas pump and deal with that in a probably cycle very soon. The last thing I'm going to do is work on the stables. Going to build an extra stable and bring out some wires because I know I'll ultimately want to do some automation. That'll finish this cycle. Alright, starting off cycle 25, and I'm going to dig up to the very top that I can without going into space. And the moment I break a wall, I'm going to build a tile at high priority to do that. Ooh, 8,000 calories of omelets. That's always a helpful thing. So I'm going to expand the automation system to haul eggs out of my stables. I'm going to put this in every single stable that I have, Because right now, when I manually have to do this and wait for a dupe to get an egg out of there, the pips that are in that stable aren't laying as eggs as efficiently as they could. And now, oh, right, Rancher, why are you in there? Oh, that's right, because I let everyone in there to build that conveyor rail. I'm going to change that such that only Hugger can go in there. And I will get Hugger to work on that as soon as they walk in that room. There they are. Start applying that effect, and while get the rest of my dupes to build some wires. And for the rest of this cycle, I'll just work on hugging some eggs. Oh, how exciting. Okay, starting off cycle 26 with getting Hugger to process the last egg they missed in the last cycle because they ran out of time. And I'm going to turn my dupes' attention to this tile that I really want them to build, but they can't reach it unless I dig out some other tiles. So increasing the priorities of those tiles to be dug out, and hopefully I'll stop wasting hydrogen. Speaking of which, I want to filter that hydrogen to put in a hydrogen generator, and there's this will be the spot for that hydrogen generator. And that's one of the things that I can use and not kill the super sustainable achievement. Thank you, game, for at least allowing me to burn hydrogen. I am now going to wait for that to be built. Okay, there we are. That tile is now preventing hydrogen from going out. I've got a good scientist from doing research. So I want to build ultimately gas element sensor. So doing the research for that, I want to turn a pump on and off based on whether it can detect hydrogen. I'm going to put that at the very top of the base. So that's going to pump the hydrogen, push that through a filter, and send it into this hydrogen generator. That will add a little bit of power to my base, as well as removing the hydrogen that my dupes can't breathe. So that's also a good thing. That will end this cycle. On cycle 27, I'm continuing to work on the hydrogen system and system to remove hydrogen from the base. And I'm going to expand the number of stables that have the automation system to haul eggs out of them as soon as the pips lay them. So that's going to increase the rate of production of those eggs and ultimately give me more food. So in this I see the way sand works. I'm going to have a hole, so I'm going to plug that up in high priority, so that I'm not wasting some of this hydrogen into space. I haven't done the research for a gas pump yet. Fortunately, I've got a really good scientist. They've started with a +10. In science, and they're quick learners, so that won't take them too long. All right, so in fact, it's already here. So I'm going to plug that in, and build a gas pipe that goes from it to a filter, and that's going to filter for hydrogen. And when there's hydrogen, that'll push it into the hydrogen generator, and anything else, most likely oxygen, will go out to the side over here. And that will conclude this cycle. Starting off cycle 28, realizing I've got new conveyor loaders, which is good, but they don't have the settings of all eggs, critter eggs to them. So I'm going to select one that has the proper settings and apply them to the other three. In my hydrogen generator that's still being built, but I'm going to add a gas element sensor. And the idea here is if that detects hydrogen, it'll tell the pump to turn on, so that when there isn't hydrogen, the pump isn't wasting power. So that will be built, allowing me to optimize power a little bit in this system. I also need to plug in power for the filter. That's just verifying that there's hydrogen that is being sent to the hydrogen generator, not occasionally a little bit of oxygen, which would damage the hydrogen generator. That is all. Oh, I noticed I've got a tile missing, so I'm going to clear or plug that up, so stop wasting the little bit of things that actually can burn in a power plant. Let's now direct our attention to optimizing food, because I don't have planter boxes in this game due to the locavore achievement. I am going to construct an electric grill, and that is going to turn 3,200 calories of meat into 4,000 calories of barbecue meat, which will be applied, if my dupes eat them, to the carnivore achievement. In addition, I'm going to build a light for whoever's going to cook there to do that in an efficient way, and automation so that the light is not on all the time. All right, that's the end of this cycle. I'm going to start off cycle 29 giving out some skill points. So I want someone to do grilling. So Rancher is, I think, a good candidate for that. I will need someone to do super duper digging. That's going to be my engineer. And Hugger, I'll also get them to grill So I've got 2 people that can do that, and I'm going to do applied research to scientists so they can do even better research than they already are. I'm going to select a few pips to go into the stable that's empty, because the empty stable is not producing any food, and that's a sad thing. Hugger's going to continue doing their thing, and I'm going to research the fire pole, because I want to build that soon. Perhaps do that in the next episode. That's going to increase speed in the downward direction wherever I build it, which will be next to the ladder. Other than that, I'm just going to start off the stable for the 5th stable, and I think that'll end this cycle. Highlight for me in this episode is the fact that I've got an automated system to haul eggs out of the stables. So the moment these little pip creatures lay eggs, that'll take them out, allowing those pips to produce eggs at a high rate all the time, which is really good. And I don't have to manually check for eggs in those rooms. The other thing is I have a system to deal with all the hydrogen that's building up on top of my base and turning that into power. I can optimize a little bit more, but that's for a future episode. The third thing is I have a nature reserve. So awesome. If you like this series, want to see more, like and subscribe, and hopefully see you in a future episode. Till then, Jer signing out.